So behind me, I have my Ferrari SF90. When I bought the car, I was looking for information. I was looking for any quirky bits of news or anything I could find. But I realized one thing. There's not many videos about the Ferrari SF90 online and not many videos from an owner's perspective. So I will take you over my Ferrari SF90, why I love it, why I bought it, and why I think it's one of my favorite cars. Before I get started, my name's Tommy. Sometimes I go by Tommy Music. On YouTube, I'm Tommy Auto. This is my channel. It's new. I have a bunch of videos already. Check them out. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see. So I've had my Ferrari SF90 for about 2 months now. I've done over just 1,000 miles. I've learned a bunch of quirks about the car, a lot of unique things that I haven't seen on other cars. But first of all, let's get stuck in with some details on the car that a lot of people don't talk about. For Rosso Corsa on my SF90, this is a very Ferrari spec. The reason for that is on my 812 Superfast, I went for blue electrico, and it's a tailor-made car with stripe and all this other bits. My wife said to me, Tommy, you need like a classic red Ferrari. So I guess this was the one. First, I thought it was quite simple and quite basic, but it's quite elegant and sleek now that I look at it. The one thing that I wish this car had was the carbon rims. Although carbon rims aren't that practical, especially on a car that is driven in the United Kingdom, because under potholes, when it comes to curbs and things like that, width restrictions, those rims become very, very, very risky to have because they can't be repaired. They have to be replaced. When it comes to the numbers, when it comes to the power, the SF90 has 1,000 horsepower. That is like the headline figure. It does acceleration 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. It does in about 2.3, although I know people like Car and Driving Magazine have clocked it a bit higher on the drag strip. I think they use a 1 foot rollout for that. Anyway, it's flipping quick. Power is provided by the twin turbo V8, the same engine that you see in a lot of Ferraris. Apart from here, it's a 90-degree V8. That means that it's wider. If this is a V, it's wide. My hands don't stretch wider than that. What they've done is they've actually mounted the V8 down low into the chassis of the car, into the top of the car, and lower the center of gravity, improve performance, improve weight distribution, but also means that they can mount an electric motor on the rear axle. And that electric motor on the rear axle is actually mounted to the gearbox. I don't know why I'm pointing like this. It's mounted to the gearbox, so that assists the rear axle of the car in power. You get this almost instant delivery of power when you put your foot on the accelerator because the electric motor allows to feel, so you don't feel that turbo lag that you tend to get from turbocharged motors. But that's not it. This isn't the only part of the car that's driven. If I walk to the front of the car, which is a few feet this way, it's actually got 2 electrical motors on the front axle that allow it to torque vector when you're going around corners. Or if you want, you can have the world's first front wheel drive Ferrari when you're driving in electric only mode. Yes, the power only comes from here. And that's because on the rear electric motor that's mounted to the gearbox, that can actually only operate when the engine is running, or else you would have a ton of issues. So yeah, when you're in electric person, save the environment mode, you're just running the front axle. Funnily enough, when I got this car, I was like, I'm never going to run it in electric mode. I'm blah, 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 blah. But I actually spend a lot of time in electric mode just because it's so flipping chill. And it also means that I don't have to stop at petrol stations every other second like I do in this car. I feel like when I drive this car, I'm guaranteed to fill up twice. So I went out to, and you know what, that's a whole different thing. It's just, this car drinks fuel. It is a V12. Anyway, with 1,000 horsepower and 800 Newton meters of torque, combined with all the electric motors and the thermal engine, this is the most powerful ever production Ferrari. Christ, my garage is so hot because I ran my F90 earlier today and I actually went out to get some food and bits in the SVJ. So Jesus, it's hot in here. God, it's hot in there, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I might as well show you the front of the SF90. One thing that I've noticed that people haven't seemed to mention anywhere that I've seen, the car actually rides quite high. So when it comes to things like speed bumps, you can actually kind of glide over them. It's a similar thing to the 812 Superfast that I have. Apart from, I think on the SF90, it actually rides a bit higher, which is quite weird because usually you associate high riding cars with, you know, comfort and not performance. Whereas on here, this car is very performative. Saying that, my SF90 is actually the most comfortable supercar that I own. It's miles more comfortable than my SVJ. It's way more comfortable than the 812 Superfast. It manages to hold its own over bumps, and that's thanks to Ferrari's bumpy road mode that they have started installing in their cars. Bumpy road mode allows you to disconnect the front stabilizer, I believe, so it allows the wheels to move a bit more freely. It does kind of mess up the handling, so if you're like driving fast or doing anything performance orientated, you should probably not use bumpy road mode. It works a treat, and it means that I can do things like go to London, go going for a meal with my wife. She doesn't complain to me. I feel good. My back doesn't hurt. But that's also in part to what's on the inside. So shall we get started on the inside? I think we should we get started on the inside now? The reason my SF90 is ultra comfortable is because I went for comfort seats. They are actually very, very, very comfortable. That's 3 verys, that's how comfortable they are. When I opened the door, the lights came on. I think that looks so sexy. This is the interior of my Ferrari SF90. It's quite a simple spec. Again, I kind of just chilled out with this car and thought I'll just get one because I wanted one. I wasn't really pressed. This car I actually bought like, what's the term? Secondhand, pre-owned. However, it only had really delivery mileage on it. So it was kind of a steal for the price I got it for. Prices have gone up since then. So I'm very happy. Anyway, let me get to the interior. I'm like standing here and talking about money when I'm looking at, anyway. Hop in with my stupidly long legs and short torso. There's an issue when it comes to getting in this car, and I'll get to that in a second. But when I enter the SF90, you're greeted with this very spaceship-like display. You have touch buttons. They're not actually haptic. I know a lot of people say they're haptic. Haptic usually means you have feedback when you touch them. With these ones, you don't have any feedback. You have touchpads for your mirrors. You have touchpads for your infotainment. You have touchpad for your voice activation and your call. And you also have a touchpad to start the engine, which I'm not going to do right now because I'm in a garage and there's a door in front of me. Okay, I've started it up now because it's so hot. I need AC. So I've literally just turned it on just so I can get some cool breeze because it's so hot outside. But it gives me a great opportunity to let you hear the sound the car makes when you start it up on electric only mode. That's very Back to the Future. We also have this passenger display that I'm glad is on here because it means my wife can change music without having to ask me to change the music. So you just go on here, you can touch stuff. She can also adjust her seats from here, and that's another benefit of having a comfort seat. When you have the race seat, you have to do everything manually, like you know, 90s, 50s style. But here, you can just adjust it from this. You can increase your lumbar, you can heated seat, you can do a bunch of stuff. I think that's really cool. I think that's quite futuristic. It's not very ergonomic or very easy or logical to use, but you do get the hang of it. You can also change some settings on this screen, like brightness, and that's about it. And you can do the volume up, and you can change your temperature, which I have just found out. Oh my God, you can change the temperature from here. Wow, my wife's gonna love this. Another reason I love doing like YouTube videos and deep dives into things, I end up learning stuff as I go along. So this may not seem very formal. It may not seem very, you know, refined. I'm no Doug DeMuro. What I am is just a regular dude, and I'm giving you like regular dude views on stuff because I'm a regular dude. He sounds like Optimus Prime is in the back of this car. Maybe I should turn it on. Let me shut the door. Silence. So yes, this car is got great sound deadening. I actually also noticed that the other day as well. It seems to have some acoustically insulated glass. I'm not sure why they did that, but I'm glad they did. It is a twin turbocharged V8, so it's quite muted, but like my wife said today, it actually sounds good. It's just not loud enough. I'll just like it a little bit louder. Back to the infotainment. I kind of went off tangent there. So yes,
signal lost.
Oh, GPS signal lost. It thinks I'm in Italy, which is very Ferrari. So yeah, to control everything, you use this. When I first got in the car, I was like, oh my God, what is, I said Ferrari. No, Ferrari, I don't need Ferraris. Unferrari, no, there we go. Even a better shot with the 0.5 camera. Yeah, when I first got in the car, I was like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. But now I drive it all the time. It's very like intuitive. Once you get the hang of it, it does take a second to get the hang of. But when you do, it just becomes kind of like second nature. You use this touchpad here to control what's on the screen behind. So like if you need to do anything, if you need to scroll, you just swipe up here or you swipe down. And yes, it kind of like just follows up the screen. You kind of have to be very, very sensitive. Otherwise you end up like double scrolling, if that makes sense. Okay, so I don't get like blacklisted on YouTube or like copyright stricken. Let me turn down the volume. So yeah, what I was actually saying, and this is a perfect demonstration. Fun fact, what a lot of people don't know about the Ferraris, you can actually control the infotainment from behind the steering wheel. So I'm gonna have to show you from here, or else you might not get what I'm showing you. Here's the steering wheel. If I go behind the steering wheel and down, you have this little toggle flap here that I'm going to rub. If I do this, I can actually change what I'm listening to. So like next track or change the station. Take it to the other side. I can actually change the volume of what I'm listening to. So that's pretty cool. A lot of people didn't know about that. When I put it on TikTok, some guys are like blown away. So that's my, you know, fair contribution to the world of Ferrari. Anyway, like I was saying, that is like the audio section of the car. You actually have really good speakers if you go for the premium upgrade. So it's like JBL speakers. You can't see because the lighting is pouring here. If I scroll back from audio, you see I had to double tap there because you don't know if you've touched it because it's not haptic. You don't know the amount of force required to initiate things. Scroll down, you have navigation, which is navigation. I'm not going to open that because it's literally Ferrari navigation. Basically, the navigation isn't great, so there's no point me going through that. But if you punch here at View Max, it increases the size of the screen and you get like a full screen navigation. If you press View Max again, it like splits it, so you have performance on the top and, you know, navigation at the bottom. This is a really confusing screen. I never use it. I like to just stay on the tech, and I'll actually take you into a fun fact about the tech now. SF90, 296, Roma, and any other Ferrari that has a digital display. If you scroll down to settings and then you scroll down to infotainment, you have to double click. You go to display settings. Hidden away is themes, and if you click on themes, you can actually change the color of the tachometer. So if I press Rosso now, it will change the tach to red. I don't know why they called it themes because it seems to only change that. If I press Nero, it will change the tach to black, and if I press Bianco, it will change the tach to white. I always use Giallo because I think it looks coolest, but there is a fun Aluminio one, which I assume means metal, aluminium, or obviously means aluminium, but it's like anyway, you'll see, it's like a metal effect that is quite hard to read. It does look pretty cool though, but I think it literally just changes the tach. So again, I'm not sure why they called it themes. Anyway, let me scroll back to Giallo because Ferrari. Yeah, so that's a fun fact. Also, oh no, I said Ferrari, didn't I? If I go back to the main infotainment screen, you can see that it works on like a kind of like swipey card system, similar to how the Xbox 360 was when it launched in 2005. So if you swipe, it moves this screen to here and like the next one across like a massive carousel of screens, like so. I think it's pretty cool. So you have your click buttons there for your indicator. You can actually click from the back. I think Ferrari bringing this into their cars was very smart. It makes it a lot easier to drive without having to take your hand off the steering wheel. Wheel off the hand, what? You also have the new wiper system here. It's not like the old Ferraris where it was a side scroller. It's actually a quite more tactile feeling knob that you just twist around to wipe. But I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to dry wipe. That's weird. Have the same thing for your cruise control. You can initiate cruise control by pressing that button there. You also have your Manettino switch, your thing that has been in Ferrari since, I believe, the Enzo, that allows you to change your driving mode. So you can be in like, right now, sport mode. I think if I change to race, it will turn the engine on. I don't want to do that. But yeah, blue is wet, green is sport, orange is, or yellow is race. Orange, is that orange? Am I colorblind? I don't know. Orange is CT off, which basically allows you to have like a side slip in the car, allows you to kind of like drift. It turns off a bunch of traction, but it still leaves a bit of stability, and it'll still kind of like save you if you mess up badly. And you also have ESC off, which is like, oh, I don't enjoy living anymore. Also new for the hybrid Ferrari, you have the E-Manettino that allows you to select different modes for the hybrid powertrain. You can do E-Drive, which is literally electric only. It changes your tach to this. You can change it to hybrid mode, which changes it to hybrid mode, where it like decides if you want to be high or British. Anyway, you also have performance mode, which I can't use whilst I am parked. Oh, the engine isn't even on, I can press it. Performance mode, which it runs the engine and then fills in gaps with the electric motor. And then you have qualifying mode, which is like, oh my god, I want 1000 horsepower because that's very practical for this situation right now. My wife just called me like, where are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, why are you asking? And she said, I keep getting alerts on my phone from like the tracking company to say that someone's in the Ferrari. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, my bad, that's me. I haven't disabled the security system. So at least she loves me, and at least I know the security system works. Yay! Finally, when it comes to controls on the interior, you have your temperature controls right there, which are, you know, I was getting hype earlier because I was like, oh my god, my wife can control the temperature from her side, because she was asking, because if you're a passenger, you can't really see this here, you can't really see anything, so it's good that she can control it from here as well. I said finally, but finally part two. This cool little device here is actually your gear selector. Ferrari said, you know what, we want to pay some homage to our cars of yesteryear and bring back the, you know, gated manual system, but how can we do it in a cool way? So they did this. It's quite controversial. A lot of people said it's a bit corny. I think it's quite sexy. The design, this whole section with the carbon fiber, I think it just looks glorious. So what you want to do is, if you want to put the car in reverse, manual's there, auto, push up, and if you push up here, you go into L mode, which means take an L. No, I'm joking. You go into launch mode, which means you're going to just take off and fly. Basically, when you put it in launch mode, you put it in qualifying, race, launch, foot on the brake, foot on the accelerator, hold it down, the car goes and then it just shoots off. I think my one regret for this car, especially the interior, because it was used, I couldn't spec it myself, I couldn't customize it myself. As you guys know or don't know, I tend to spec my cars quite highly because I like personalizing them. I would have gone for a different interior to this one. And if it was down to me, I probably would have gone for the race seats, but I'm glad that I got to experience comfort seats because they are miles better than the race seats in terms of comfort and practicality. Exit SF90, you press this button here, it electrically pops the door open. Now that I'm sitting inside, I've realized I probably should look for where the manual door open is. But anyway, if I press this button, door pops open, mirror drops down, and you're released into the world of non-Ferrari and sliders on the floor. It's charging right now. It's got 1 minute remaining. I was actually using the hybrid powertrain to run all the air conditioning whilst I sat in the car. So you get this cool little animation to let you know how long's left. And in fact, I'm actually charging this car from, I'm not sure if you can see it from here, which you can't, but my Porsche charger that I got with my first Taycan. So that's pretty cool if you ask me. Before I hop out, I actually want to show you two things. One is that this cool little selection of buttons here allow you to save for the memory seats, as well as pop open the front bonnet, the gas cap, as you say in the States, or petrol cap, as we call it here, and the EVE cap. That is not called that. But anyway, where you plug it in for the hybrid components. The second thing I want to show you is that the doors on this car don't seem to want to open very wide. This is as wide as they go. I have stupidly long legs because my dad is very tall. So when I get out, I have to like hit this every single time. It's not great. But beggars can't be choosers, and at least I look really uncool getting out of my Ferrari SF90. Jeez. I feel like the door openage, this is probably the least wide door openage I've ever experienced on a car. Is obviously the way they've done this hinge here. They could have learned something from Mercedes. When they did the CL of the year 2000, they built a special hinge. They allowed the door to open a little bit extra, and instead of this part opening inward, it allowed this side of the door to be here. Yes, now that we're on the outside, you can see here that you have the electrical components plugged in. This plugged into my 7.2 kilowatt hour charger, and it does not charge very fast at all, but the battery is quite small on this car. I believe the battery is about 15 kilowatt hours. I'm actually gonna do a quick Google search and then spit off the right information for you and act like it was that and I knew it all along. I knew all along the battery on the SF90 is 7.9 kilowatt hours. So it's not that large, but it does allow you to cruise for about 15 miles on electric range. Today, on a nice warm day, I actually did get 15 miles from it. I used it on the M25, used it when I got into London, and it works perfectly fine. It does so well that I started incorporating it into my driving habits. Battery doesn't take that long to charge. As you can see here, I got 5.72 kilowatt hours and 1 hour and 15 more minutes on a 7.2 kilowatt hour charger. This is the charger they actually give you with the car, and it just plugs into a regular home socket. So it's only a weak charger. It's not very fast. If you're a very urgent charger person, this probably isn't ideal, but again, no one really buys an SF90 to drive around on electric mode. The fun fact, the gearbox in this car is the same gearbox that they put in cars like the 488 Pista, so on and so forth, is that fast, ultra fast Ferrari dual clutch that has a 7 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. But in this car, they said, hey, we actually don't need a reverse gear because we have electric motors. Let's let the electric motors do the reversing and let's slip another gear in there. So this actually has 8 forward gears and reverse is provided by the front wheels alone. One thing that's interesting about that is that if the car is dead, if the car is flat, can you reverse? The answer is yes, because the electric motor turns on and powers the... And the answer to that is yes, because the petrol motor turns on and powers the electric system to give it enough charge so you can reverse and maneuver around at low speeds. But yeah, it won't let you like take off. Also, it keeps a little bit of power available all the time, just in case. One thing that's really interesting is if I pop here, I can open the engine bay, and unlike in like every other car of, you know, the 21st century, oh, this is heavier than I remember. When you open the engine bay, it like doesn't stay up. You actually have to use this old school mounting technology. Absurd on a car of this price, but I guess they did it to save weight. But this is flipping heavy, so I'm not sure what weight savings are being achieved by not having just like valved hinges. But yeah, it's quite interesting. But yeah, there's the engine mounted super low. Like I was saying, it looks gorgeous. I love the fact that it's red. I love the fact that it's symmetrical, unlike in that car. I feel like I keep sending shots to this car, but I actually love it. But yeah, it's symmetrical. You can see everything packed in nice and tightly. The engine is so low. A thing of beauty, if I say so myself. It's getting hotter and hotter in this garage, and I'm soldering it for you guys, all 3 of you that are going to watch this video to the end. The back of the car is glorious. I don't have a carbon diffuser. A lot of SF90s don't have a carbon diffuser. The reason for that is that I think this was about £16,000, but luckily I have carbon everywhere else. Carbon fiber, carbon fiber, carbon... I sound like that meme. Whilst I'm on the exterior of the car, if I take the wonderful Ferrari key, I double tap, I can open the front loading section. This is the only storage space you get on the exterior of the car. It's about deep enough to hold a laptop and some dental floss, but storage is not what this car is about. You also have the plaque that lists all the factory options that came with the car. You have your like toolkit and whatever that is in there. You also get a nice little display of your RACE or PlayStation controller, as I like to call it. So this is part of the hybrid elements powering the front electric motors. I think that's gorgeous. It's quite cool that they did that. Anyway, that's it for me. I literally just like made this video off the cuff. Like it wasn't scripted. I kind of like didn't go for it. So I hope it turns out okay. I am glad that you guys stayed to this point if you did. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I'm very lucky to have cars like this, and I'm in a place of privilege, and I'm in a place of being able to enjoy things that a lot of people like only just dream about. And have to really, really work hard to get towards. And I know you guys are gonna get there. If you believe in yourself, trust me, it's gonna happen. I just believed in myself and it happened eventually. But it's my duty and it's my honor to share these cars with you, to talk about them, to share my experience. So we can learn together and grow together and enjoy these things together, whether it is vicariously through me or whether you're just planning on your future. Yeah, my SF90 video. It's hot. Like and subscribe. I forget to say that. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe.